Hello there, and welcome to a little exclusive Patreon supporter video, whatever we're going to call this. This is totally unscripted, so I'm going to ramble a lot, so if that's not your thing, sorry. Just want to give you guys a little update about what's going on the channel, and again, thank you for your support. Actually, today is something that Patreon was informing all of us creators about. It's Thank You Patrons Day, or something along those lines, so this video is a big thank you to you guys. So I'm going to go down a list of a bunch of things that are in my head. I'm using my phone to record and I didn't print out a list, so this may get a bit weird. But essentially, I want to thank you guys. So you support my channel, you like my channel, you give my videos likes, you retweet stuff. You're big supporters of it, and it could not exist without you, honestly. Not to get all sappy here or anything, but like it really could not exist without your support. So I greatly appreciate it. I started Mac84 a bit over 2 years ago, and the whole idea was to just show off some of my collection and teach people about some old Mac stuff that maybe I knew that maybe it was lost to the ages. I started a YouTube channel focusing on video game stuff, and it was just like there was way too many people in there, way too competitive. My videos, although I put a ton of effort into them, I feel like they weren't being viewed. I had a low subscriber count. And I'm like, you know what, that's overpopulated. I have to do a bunch of research on what I'm reviewing, even if I know it in depth, because there's going to be these people out there who are just like, oh, that guy's wrong. Let's, bury him in the comments or whatever. So, I mean, that wasn't a huge factor, but the biggest factor was I put like 2 months into making a video, and like the week before I was gonna post it, someone came out with a similar one that hit like exactly the same things I was gonna. And I'm like, you know what? That's enough of that. So I switched to being focused on purely Macintosh and Apple stuff and computer stuff in general, which I have a much, tighter hold on. And I've been using Macs for all my life. I have a lot of experience with the older machines, tinkering around with them, seeing what works, what doesn't, etc. And so I really think that I have a much better stance in that arena for sharing a lot of knowledge and insight into these old computers. So that's why I started Mac84. Not so much as the gloat of, hey, this is what I have, it's rare. It's basically like, hey, here's something cool that I like. I think it's cool. Do you think it's cool? Let's discuss. And that's about it. So that's really the platform of this. If I could somehow, I'd remove myself from the video. I'd just, have it sort of be like just a camera and a voiceover showing these things. But it's kind of hard to do that because, you want to show something, you have to remove something, you have to inspect something, and I have to be in there. But I don't mind. So as long as you don't mind. But so that's really like why my channel started. And again, I said it started about 2 years ago. The first video I put up was like an introduction video. I put it on the Vintage Apple subreddit, which is a pretty cool community. And I pasted the link there, and it got a lot of attention. And that really took me by surprise. I thought I get a handful of subscribers, and I got like a dozen or so right off the bat. And I'm like, okay, that's interesting. And I really did not keep track of like how many subscribers I would have or anything like that. Like that was the goal is of this channel. It was never and will never be, I need the most subscribers so I could cash in. And no, that if that was the case, I'd be releasing crummy videos with like clickbaity thumbnails like, look at this crazy trick with this. No, that's not what I'm doing here. And obviously my release schedule of videos reflects that, which we'll get to in a second. So the goal has always been to educate about these old machines. I think they're really neat. I think some of them get a bad rap. Some of them are terrible. Let's be honest, there's some road apples in there that Apple should have never pushed out the door. Maybe they're trying to be cheap or whatever. There are some cool products. There are some things that Apple restricted on some machines that we could get around. There's just a lot of interesting history there because Apple is such a secretive company. And so I think looking back on some of these machines and showing you how you got them to work, or how you got around that, or why this was different from a PC of the time, I think is really interesting to me. I grew up using a Mac, so a lot of this stuff I know, but I know a lot of people are getting into these machines for the first time. They're collecting them for the first time, which is hugely of interest to me because I'm like, wow, there's still people interested in this stuff. And if you hear noises, that's the rabbit upstairs scratching at the floor. So sorry. I don't know how sensitive the microphone is, but yeah. So what's interesting to me is that people are still collecting for the Macintosh, and honestly, when I started to, well, when I started to collect these machines, I can't even remember. It's been so long, but within the past 10 or so years, I thought it was dying down because I would get a lot of machines for $5, $10, not a lot of money at all. They were very undesirable, and I don't know if it's directly because of how popular Apple has become with the iPhone and such like that, but people see the Apple logo and they think, oh, that's worth a lot of money, or this is very rare, or excuse me. And that's, very interesting to me, kind of, but like, it's weird because I don't value these machines with a huge amount of money. I love them, I cherish them, I love having them in my collection. I'm not going to go drive 2 hours to pick up a Macintosh Portable for $400. That's not what I'm doing. If I see some pieces at a good price, I'll pick them up. But the whole point is that, this stuff I thought nobody was interested in, and now thanks to these online communities, these Facebook groups, my community with yourself on YouTube and Twitter and Instagram and all this stuff, has really shown me that, wow, there's a lot of other people that are like-minded out there, like me, who enjoy these old machines, which is great. I've always been curious about technology in general, how something works, why does it work this way, can I make it do this? Always, was curious about that type of stuff, whether it be from video capture devices and VCRs and TVs to computers and Palm Pilots and printers and all sorts of digital cameras and stuff like that. Like, I'm really interested in that kind of stuff. So you'll probably see, and some of it's already been in the channel, like the Sony Watchman video I did, but you'll probably see some more of that stuff creep in. This will still be a Mac channel. There's a ton of Mac stuff that I'm using here and I'll be showing off, but there are some things like this. If I reach back carefully and grab it, like this big Sony Watchman. It's a black and white CRT, but it's a large version of the miniature one I showed off in the previous video. Let's pose for the camera. Yeah, that's a clickbaity thumbnail right there. There's some things like that I want to review, and yeah, it's not Mac related, but I think it's pretty cool, so I want to show it to you guys. Then I have a stack of Palm Pilots over here. This is a Life Drive, and this is a Palm TX, and these are just interesting devices. I had a Palm Pilot. My first Palm Pilot was a Palm 3E. It was actually a clear special edition one. I had it growing up. It was supposed to help me in school being more organized, and it did to a degree. Unfortunately, something happened with that. It like bricked itself, and the only solution was for them to send me a new one, but it wasn't the clear special edition one. So I'm always on eBay looking out for a Palm 3E that's a clear one, not the standard gray one. But anyway, PDAs were always interesting to me. As the technology evolved, I had a color one. I had one with a built-in keyboard. I took all my middle school notes on that thing. We had wireless printers in the classroom, so I would beam those notes from the Palm Pilot to the printer and print out my notes right before class, and it sort of allowed me to procrastinate a little bit. But anyway, that's just something that that was always interesting to me. So what I'm trying to get at is, I have a lot of interests. My wife says I have too many hobbies. This is true. But I like a lot of different pieces, of technology. So you'll probably see some non-Apple things in the future, but that's, just not a direction that the channel is going to, like, veer off in. I'm still covering Mac stuff, but there's some other cool things I got that I want to show off. One of them, I guess I could tell you guys because you're my Patreon people. Patreon people, I like that. One is a web TV. So I'm not going to put a picture in here. I'm not editing this video. I'm just putting it out there. So what you get is what you get. One of the things that I came across was an in-box web TV. It was pretty much new. It was missing the remote, so I got the remote off eBay. But this thing was listed on Facebook Marketplace for about $10. And it was one of those things that was like in a in your advertised area, like you click on the Marketplace tab on the website, and it gives you a bunch of results based on what you previously searched for, so like computers or whatever. And this thing was just labeled as web TV or something generic. but it was with the box, and I really probably would not have picked it up if it didn't have the box, because I think that having the box is a really cool, piece. It has a lot of, the marketing slogans all over it and what it could do and all that stuff. So I thought, all right, this is really cool. Let's see how much this thing is. And I ended up getting it for like $5. They wanted, I think, 15, or no, I think they wanted 20 or 25 for it, which was still okay, but it didn't have the remote. And this model didn't come with a keyboard either. So my argument was like, well, I could get it, but the remote's not going to do me much good. And they're like, oh, you can get the remotes off eBay. So the remote off eBay, I saw a listing was like $15, and they wanted, what, let's say 20 or whatever. So I'm like, well, look, if I get the remote, it's 15. Can I give you 5 for it? And they were like, sure. And when I arrived at the door, like the couple gave me this device, and they were like so excited. They're like, hey, here it is, nice seeing you. And like they were just like so glad to get rid of it. Like I was like walking back to my car perplexed. I'm like, huh? Like, did I just like interrupt a party? Because like they seemed like so happy and energetic. I think there's this big box I just wanted to get rid of, and now it's sitting in my room. I have to do something with it. But I just thought that was funny. I was like, okay, I just like here to pick up this web TV, and these people are like all but too happy to get rid of it. So that's something we'll be focusing on, and it ties into the Dream Pi, that little Raspberry Pi dial-up modem I did a video about with the Dreamcast. It ties into that because that's how we'll be dialing up with it. And yeah, I mean, I really haven't played around with Web TV before. The first time, and I think the only time I ever experienced Web TV was in Baltimore years ago. So my parents used to travel for conferences and such, and one time one of my parents had to be in the Baltimore, Maryland area. There's a bunch of science museums and stuff like that. So, me and my brothers went along. And for whatever reason, they went out and I wanted to stay in the hotel room. And there was a TV, and it had a web TV plugged into it. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. And in fact, I just got a PowerBook. I had a PowerBook 540C that I brought along with me. And I think like it just arrived from eBay, and literally I took the box with us. I don't think I even had time to test it before we came, but I brought the laptop with me on vacation because I'm me. What happened was, this is kind of a run-off story, but hopefully it's interesting. What happened was, for whatever reason, I turned on the laptop and there were files in the trash bin. And I opened it and I said something along the lines of, out loud, oh wow, there are files in the trash, I wonder what's deleted. And I think it was my mom that was like, you should have me and your father look at that just to make sure there's nothing bad, and, anything like suspicious on the machine or whatever. But no, it was like extensions or whatever. And I must have inadvertently like enabled an extension that wasn't compatible or whatever, and so the machine would just start up, and I think it would either, the extensions would cause it to freeze, or it was coming up with like the question mark disk or whatever. So I don't know what I did to screw it up. I was tinkering around with it, but I didn't have any floppy disks or boot media or anything, so it was like stuck in that state. So I remember, maybe this is why I stayed in the hotel room, I used the web TV to look up, PowerBook, remedies, how to make it boot, I don't think I was successful, but I think we paid for like an hour of web TV access. And essentially this thing had a big keyboard and a little mouse type device. I don't know if it was a trackpad or one of those directional pads. And it was like dial-up speeds, but it was the internet and it was on your TV screen. So like you had to zoom in, you had to zoom out, you had to pan around. The text wasn't so sharp or whatever. But I mean, it was an interesting concept and something I probably have not revisited since then. So I think it would be fun to take a look at. This thing is in the box and everything, so it'd be cool to do a little unboxing of. I always like doing those unboxing videos because to me it's like a huge nostalgia rush. Wow. Nostalgia rush. There we go. And it's like, opening up a time capsule. So I think that's really cool. So I'll be doing a video on that sometime soon. I'm still editing the iMac video. Life has just been crazy. We've had issues with our bunny rabbit, so been going to the vet. Work is work. At the end of the year is always crazy. We're releasing new stuff, so I've been very busy there. And yeah, life gets in the way. But I'm still editing that video. I have a list of shots I just had to pick up so I'll be finishing those shots and then editing those back in. There's a 5-minute preview of that video. If you go back a few posts on Patreon, that'll be there. So if you want to check that out, that'll be great. Anything else? Yeah, after the iMac video, I'm probably going to ease off when I say a video will be completed on X date. I get a lot of messages on Instagram or Twitter or whatever that's like, oh, is that video out yet? Oh, is it out yet? Oh, is it out yet? And I'd love to just like get things done methodically and move them out. And sometimes I get the videos done very quickly. Other times it's like this, it just drags on. It turns into another Macintosh clone video that I was doing. So, I'm gonna try and restrain myself. I'm always trying to please people and be like, oh yeah, I'll have it out next week, or have a preview out next week, and yeah, especially when I'm on the spot, I'll say something stupid like that and back myself into a corner, because that's how I am. So, I'm gonna try and get that done. My problem is, I'm like kind of a perfectionist with this stuff, and not intentionally, but like, I nitpick the video when I try and make it, and no, people are never going to notice the little changes I make or whatever. But once it's out there, it's out there. YouTube doesn't really have a system where I could replace a video and keep all the views and stuff like that. And my channel's sort of at this pivotal moment where I just reached 1,000 subscribers. Thank you guys. And there's almost enough hours for me to get some sort of monetization and super chat features and all this cool stuff. So I can't really take anything down without negatively hurting me. Not that I'm in a race to get any of that stuff, but I don't want to inhibit myself from doing so. So I just want to be careful when I put out there, and obviously it's going to sit up there for all eternity. So I want to make sure that stuff is actually accurate, and I'm happy with the product and everything. And there's just, some little minor things I have to finish up with that video. I didn't get a shot of the back of this or that. And there's, video is a very difficult medium for those of you who create this stuff, but with a podcast or something, there could be a little bit of a dead air or, well, no, that's a bad example. But what I'm trying to say with video is you don't get anything for free. You have to shoot everything. If you don't put a video clip in there and you have a voiceover, it's a black screen. You have to put an image there, you have to put a cutaway there, you have to put a clip there, you have to put something. So what I usually do is I write I guess I'll go through my video process. Impromptu video process talk. What I usually do is I'll think of a topic I want to cover, think of the items that have to appear in it. Let's say it's an iMac, let's say it's a USB hub, let's say it's a USB to serial adapter, whatever. Make sure I have all the items before I embark on a mission to make a video. I'll write up some ideas while I'm doing research about the topic. Make sure there's compatibility issues I want to note, or what year this thing was made, and how much it costs, etc. Then I'll write a script. So I'll write a script about my introduction to the camera, my closing to the camera, and most of the voiceover stuff. And when I'm finished with the script, that usually stays about like 95% solid. I don't really touch it. If I'm recording something and I can't get the lines out, maybe I'll swap a line or something. But usually that's about it. It stays pretty true to how I originally wrote it. The thing I have to get better at doing is shooting the footage. So for things that are more straightforward, like the Macintosh Plus video, the whole idea was to unbox it, to turn it on, test it out. That was it. So did some research about the Macintosh Plus. I knew a little bit about it, but mine was a later model that was a platinum color, not a beige color. So I unboxed it, so I just had the camera out. Of course, when you film anything, it takes like 5 times as long as if you're just going to do it in person. You have to set up the camera, the lighting, the tripod, and all that stuff. You have to do a take again if you move it, or it's blurry, or it's not in focus, or whatever. So, that video was, all right, I'm unboxing this thing. Once everything's unboxed, I'll do some voiceovers to it. And then I'll boot it up and we'll go from there. So that video was pretty straightforward. This iMac one, on the other hand, has... me and Greg Rutke from the Rutke Mods channel have been joking that it's a Bondi blue iMac curse. Because this thing is like... It's been very troublesome. I've had issues where the operating system would just crash, so I had to I had to upgrade to Mac OS 8.6. I had issues where some of the USB devices I'm trying to show off, they worked before, now they don't. All these sorts of crazy things where I'm like, okay, what's going on here? This is like trying my patience and my knowledge trying to figure this out. All sorts of weird stuff. And so, trying to get something to happen on screen that did it like 20 times out of 20 times before, and no, it just doesn't want to do it. So it's a lot of exercise and patience. And you know, I sometimes do video editing at work, so sometimes when I'm doing that stuff and then I come home, like, do I really want to sit in front of the computer and edit this video after I've been doing this for so many hours earlier? So yeah, it's a bit of a thing, but I do want to get that out, and I will get it out in a reasonable timeline pretty soon. So don't be surprised if you see like a little short video to fill that gap. That was what the Apple Watch video was. I was like, okay, this will, you know, keep everybody happy for a bit, and then I'll release the iMac video, and that was delayed. But I mean, sometimes things you just can't help getting delayed, and last weekend was a really good excuse to get something delayed. That's why I got the boatload of those, the time capsule really of all those Macintosh documents. And so that was a whole ordeal. I had to, you know, plan for it. My parents live about an hour away from that area, so I had to make plans with them to go visit them, and then I stayed over, and then in the morning I went to go get the stuff, and then I came back, but I had, with my work schedule, I had to work remotely, so I had to make sure I was on these conference calls, and then I had to drive home before it got dark, and all this, yeah, so that like took up like, that was like a rough 48 hours for me. So yeah, that was a bit of a trip. But yeah, I mean, some things you just can't help. So I'm not apologizing for anything, I'm just giving you an update of what's going on, because you guys support me, so I want to let you know. The other thing, I planned this, that people have been messaging me about is these little buttons. So we have, if you haven't seen these before, we have a little Mac84 logo button and this little PowerPC button here. I am putting these up for sale somehow. I don't know the vehicle I'm going to do that, whether it's a PayPal store or what. But these are just little 1.5-inch buttons. They're really nice. This is one based off of a sticker that Apple put on their G3 machines, their early G3 machines. And this is, of course, my logo. So I think they're pretty sharp. They're pretty neat. And if you want one, since you're one of my Patreons, and we probably don't have to, you know, go through a proper, what am I trying to say? Like a store to buy. You could just PayPal me or whatever. I'll calculate the shipping for you. Maybe give me $1 or... No, you guys give... Actually, you know, all right, how about this? If you want a pair of buttons, and I have not already sent you a pair of buttons, give me your mailing address. If you're in the United States, I'll cover the, you know, the buttons. You just want to pay shipping? There you go. The buttons are a gift to you for being a supporter. Let's see if that works out. And there's not too many of you, so I think I can handle that. If you're outside of the U.S., you might have to pay shipping, but the buttons will be free. I don't know. There was someone from Norway. There's someone from Denmark. There's someone from the UK that wanted these buttons, and I'm like trying to calculate shipping, and even for like a little small package, it's a little nuts. So I'm trying to deal with that. But if you do want a button, or you're really interested, if you can't wait until I post them for sale somewhere, just let me know, and we'll see what we can work out. No promises, but we'll try. So it's just a one-man operation here, so I'll see what I can do. Anything else? I'm looking around the room at everything that's like piled up that I have to get to. If there's anything else to mention. Yes, I mentioned the Web TV project that I'll be working on. Other things that have been sitting around in my editing window for a long time. The Macintosh portrait display. That's something that I finally want to finish. The PowerBook Duo, I shot a lot of footage on that. And not to get into a whole thing, but like what happened was my iMac was my main editing computer. The graphics card started to fail on that, so I moved what I could over to a Mac Pro. That doesn't have a SSD in it, and so I'm trying to get this card that fits in the Mac Pro to make it work with an SSD at a faster speed than it would in the SATA port. It's built in the machine, because for some reason the 2012 Mac Pro is a slower SATA bus than the iMac. So like, okay, but yeah, so I'm working with that. My footage is sort of scattered. I have to remote into my iMac over Ethernet and drag project files in as I'm working. So things are a little disorganized, which hasn't helped with some things, but I'm hoping to resolve that soon. So those two videos I'm working on. The Mac clones video, I actually reopened. And I linked all the media that was missing from that. I think, honestly, it's in pretty good shape. I've been nitpicking it a lot. There's a preview of that, an early version of it, earlier on my Patreon post if you want to find it. And really that's going to be a multi-parter. So I think the problem was I was like trying to like make it so that video was like a standalone, and I wanted everything in it, but I realized that would be like an hour or more. So one part of the video talks about Macintosh clones, the whole history of it. There was a video by Snazzy Labs, I think it is, that did a video about Macintosh clones, but they sort of skipped over all the cool stuff. So my video is still valid. So it's almost done. So I mean, all the clips are there. What I'm really doing now is I used a heavy amount. If you'll see it from the preview version of the video, I used a heavy amount of magazine scans and other things, and they were really meant to be placeholders. And I wasn't really happy with them because a lot were low quality, or like I talk about like Gil Amelio, and there was like this little crummy photo of him like zoomed in all the way, and it's only like 200 pixels by 130 pixels or something. So I'm like, all right, I gotta find like better sources to talk about this stuff, because again, once this video is up there, it'll be up there, and I can't really edit it. So I just want to make sure I get it done right. Any other videos I'm working on that I'll be talking about soon, give you guys a heads up about. I'm trying to think. I have a video, I teased this a while back, but about the Macintosh Visual Almanac. It was basically an encyclopedia laserdisc and floppy disk set that went with a computer and an appropriate laserdisc player, where it was like an educational tool where a student can look up something, or a teacher could look up something on a Mac, and it would search for that section on the laserdisc player and would present it on a TV. So I have all the pieces to get that to work. While I was tinkering a few months ago, I got the connection between the Laserdisc player and a Mac to work. I had to get a special cable. So that works. I want to show you how that works, because I think it's really cool. It combines a lot of my obsessions, Laserdisc players and Macintosh computers, and analog videos. So that'll be fun to do. And yeah, I have to continue scanning the bundle of documents I got there. Looks like some of the big binders are already available on archive.org, which is fine, but there's a lot of little things that I could scan in. And yeah, I'm trying to think. I think that's about it. After this iMac video, at least right now, I have 2 other planned iMac videos. I have an iMac Graphite DV I'm going to unbox. It's basically my aunt's computer. She kept the box and everything. So just going to unbox it and talk about it. It's not going to be new or anything, but just talk about the machine. And then I'm fixing up a lime green iMac DV, which is sitting over there on the floor. I took it apart, I dusted it out and everything because the CRT was having weird issues. I don't know if it'll fix it because I haven't turned it on since I cleaned it out. And it's probably collecting more dust now that I think of it. But that's, it got sidetracked by this other iMac video I'm doing. So that's the plan right now. That's sort of the slate, I guess, if you want to call it that. It's November already, which is crazy because it felt like yesterday was September. I will probably take some time off around the holidays just to like not do video stuff and like actually relax, which I have a problem doing. So I'll be doing that for a little bit, but I'll still keep posting on Instagram or Twitter as time allows to make sure it's not like radio silent or anything. But this video has gone on for far too long. It's like 28 minutes. I don't know if you guys like these type of things. Let me know. I subscribe to a few people on Patreon, like Techmoan, who does like a 45-minute, much more organized version of these types of videos, where it's just like exclusive to you guys and an update of the channel and how things are going and such. So I don't know if you like this stuff. Let me know. I enjoy doing this because it's just off the cuff. It's live. There's no editing involved. I'm going to literally upload this file to YouTube. There won't be an intro on it or anything, and we'll go from there. So they're not hard for me to do, and it's honestly, I think, a bit better than writing a blog post because I'm just talking. So, and it's something to watch, I guess. You could listen to it with your headphones or whatever. Last time I did one of these, I did make an audio version. I might do that again. Let me know if you care for video versus audio. I'm not really showing off anything in this video, so the audio portion might be okay. Yeah, I guess that's about it. But if I don't see you, what do you mean if I don't see you? Oh my goodness. Thank you for your support is what I'm trying to say. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. This channel would not be possible without you guys. Greatly appreciate the support. I have a profound amount of respect for everyone who has shared my videos, who's liked them. Keep sharing them, keep liking them. I have a lot of cool stuff that I didn't even mention that's on the shelf over there that I want to show you guys, and I'll get to that. So once we get some stuff moving along here, I'll be very excited to do that. So I guess that's about it, and I appreciate you guys watching. Again, I appreciate your support, and it's Patreon's Thank You Patron Day, or whatever they call it, so thank you. So I appreciate it. Have a great day, and yeah, that's about it. Thanks for watching. Take care, guys.